Hello student, in last lecture we see the difference in innate and adaptive immune system. So today we talk about the innate immune system and how it responds against the microorganism or pathogen which are invented in our body system to make us ill or form the disease. So that innate immune system fight against this microorganism or pathogen and kill them, eliminate them from body system and make us healthy. So basically, we can say that innate immune system is inborn resistance against the infection that an individual possesses right from the birth due to his genetic and constitutional makeup. So basically, we know that innate immune system is genetically inbuilt in our body system. It is inherited from our parents or ancestors. So whatever the microorganism try to make us ill, they can be killed by the innate immune system. So basically innate immune system cannot recognize the microorganism, what type are they, what actually cause they do. They just know that these are microorganisms, these are pathogens and they can be make us ill, so that they should be eliminated or killed so that the body system or cells get healthy. So basically innate immune system is inborn resistance against the pathogen or infection. So from birth this innate immune system is functional in our body system. So basically innate immune system act after exposure of microorganism. So we can say that when any microorganism or pathogen get inside our body system or get invented in our body system, innate immune system fight against those pathogen without recognizing what type of this microorganism or what actually cause they do. They just know that these are pathogens, so that we have to eliminate them, and they act in hours or in minutes. Basically, we can say that the innate immune system, it continuously scan our body so that they can eliminate this pathogen even after the microbial exposure is not required. So they just scan our body. If there is a pathogen present, then they eliminate them or kill them. So we can say that innate immune system scan our body for the presence of microbial exposure. So basically the diversity in innate immune system is limited. So we know that in adaptive immune system antibodies are present. So antibody having the many diversity due to genetic makeup, that is 3 gene segment which is form the antibody, that is V, D and J, which have show the diversity in formation of antibody. But in innate immune system the diversity is limited. Basically it is done, or it is having the it is having the germline encoded receptor. So basically the germline encoded receptor which having present in vertebrate host for essential recognition of innate immune system through the germline encoded pattern recognition receptor. So these several classes of receptor including toll-like receptor, cytoplasmic receptor, they recognize the distinct microbial component and directly activate the immune cell. So these germline encoded receptors are responsible for the activation of innate immune system or identification of microorganism. So next feature is non-specific. So innate immune system is non-specific for the microorganism. They just know that these are the pathogen and we have to kill them and eliminate them from our body system, and they does not respond against this specificity. Okay, so they just know that these are the pathogens, we have to eliminate them. Where the adaptive immune system is specific, they know that what actually this microorganism, these are bacteria or viruses, and what kind of antibody we have to form. Where innate immune system does not allow the specificity, they just attack on that pathogen and try to kill them. Even after they are unable to kill the viruses or bacteria, they just try to kill them and eliminate them from body system. So basically, talking about the memory, so innate immune system does not consist the memory. So memory basically it is absent in innate immune system. So basically we know that the adaptive immune system having the memory for the recognition of microorganism which having the infection in history, so that they can recognize them and form the antibodies against that pathogen. But innate immune system does not consist the memory against the pathogen. So they just, whenever the microorganism invented in our body system or get inside our body system, they just try to kill them and eliminate them. So they doesn't possess the memory for the identification of microorganism. So basically, here are some types of innate immune system, that is species immunity, racial immunity, and individual immunity. So first talk about the species immunity. So basically, the species immunity is in innate immunity towards the microbes exhibited by all members of given species. Okay, so innate immunity, we know that the innate immunity is genetically built in our body system. So some species are are having the resistance against the some pathogen, but where the other species are susceptible to those pathogen. For example, frog are resistant to bacillus anthracis while the toads are susceptible. Both are the family of the class amphibians. Frogs and toads belong to class amphibians, but in this we can say that the species of frog is resistant to bacillus anthracis, where the toads are susceptible. They can be or they have to infect by the bacillus anthracis. Let's talk about the racial immunity. So basically, racial means it is it is related to the division of human species into races on the ground of physical characteristics. We know that the main human races are three, that is Caucasoid, Mongoloids, and Negroes. So this racial immunity means it confined to particular races may be absent in other community. Okay, so we can say that in some human communities, this the individual are susceptible to some diseases where the other individual or other community of individual are not susceptible or having resistance against that pathogen. For example, Negroes of America are more susceptible to tuberculosis than the American whites. So basically we can say that the tuberculosis can be occur or can be infect the Negroes more than the American whites. So that is the racial immunity. So in American whites having the immunity against the tuberculosis, where in Negroes the immunity in Negroes is absent. So they are susceptible to tuberculosis. So next point is individual immunity. So talking about individual immunity, all individual having the specific immunity against the microorganism. Some individual are specifically resistance against the microorganism, where the other individual may be susceptible to that organism or that pathogen. So these antimicrobial defense mechanism that are confined to particular individual may not be exhibited by the other, where the antimicrobial defense is provide the strong defense at this barrier layer of epithelial cell, secrete a broad spectrum of protein and peptide that provide the protection against the pathogen. Talking about the microbial defense, okay, antimicrobial defense is a proteins or peptides which is secreted by the epidermis or epithelial cell. For example, lysozymes. So lysozyme, which is mucosal or glandular secretion, for example tears, saliva, they secrete from this secretion which cleave the glycosidic bond of peptidoglycan in cell wall of the bacteria, leading to the lysis. Or for another example, lactoferrin, secretory leukocyte protease inhibitor, caliprotectin, defensin alpha and beta. So all these are the type of the proteins and peptides present in the individuals. So basically, some individual having these types of proteins or peptides or antimicrobial defense mechanism, and in some organism or some individual have may be absent. In exception, in the identical twins, because we know that the identical twins having the same genetical makeup, so that they having the immunity against those pathogen who in sorry, who can infect them by the infection of the microorganism. So basically we can say that the antimicrobial defense mechanism are different in each person, like our fingerprints. Okay, we know that the each individual having the different kind of fingerprints. We know that the proteins are made up of the amino acid. So these proteins or these antimicrobial defense mechanism are proteins and peptides, and proteins is made up of amino acid. This amino acid sequence may be variable, so that this variation leads to the leads to change in the structure of protein, so that each individual having the different kind of peptides and proteins against the microorganism. Exception is identical twins. So let's talk about the factors influencing innate immunity. So there are three main factors who can influence innate immunity against the pathogen. First example is age, second is hormone, and third is nutrition. So let's talk about in detail. So first of all is age. So an extreme of age make an individual highly susceptible to various infection, and this is explained in part of the innate immune system in very young children and the waning immunity in older individual. So basically the fetus in utero is usually protected from the maternal infection by the placental barriers. However, human immunodeficiency virus, that is HIV, rubella virus, cytomegalovirus, toxoplasma gondii, cross the placental barrier and cause the congenital diseases, where very old people are susceptible to suffer more than the young people from the disease. For example, pneumonia, and have high mortality. So measles, mumps, poliomyelitis, and chickenpox are few examples of disease that cause more severe clinical illness in adult than the young children. So next point is hormone. So basically, sorry, so we can say that the age is a factor. So basically very old and very young person or newborns are susceptible to infectious diseases. Okay, so next point is hormone. So basically, so endocrine disorders such as diabetes mellitus, hypothyroidism, adrenal dysfunction enhance the susceptibility to infection. So individually with this certain hormonal disorder become increasingly susceptible to infection. For example, individuals suffering from the diabetes mellitus, then hypothyroidism and renal dysfunction are increasingly susceptible to staphylococcus infection, candidiasis, aspergillosis, zygomyosis, and many other microbial infections. Similarly, pregnant women are more susceptible to many infections due to higher level of steroid during pregnancy. So basically the increase or decrease in hormones maybe can make us ill due to this susceptibility against the pathogen. So next point is nutrition. So immune response is reduced in malnutrition patient. So talking about nutrition, the nutritional status of host play an important role in innate immunity. So both humoral and cell-mediated immunity. So in last lecture I told you what is meant by humoral and cell-mediated immunity. So humoral immunity is define the production of antibodies or proteins, where the cell-mediated immunity, that is production of T cell, B cell or phagocytic cell, that is cell-mediated immunity. So both humoral and cell-mediated immunities are lowered in malnutrition. For example, neutrophil activity is reduced, interferon responses decrease, and C3 and factor B of the complement are decreased in protein calorie malnutrition. So, also, the deficiency of vitamin A, vitamin C, and folic acid make an individual highly susceptible to infection by many microbial pathogens. So, in this day, you can hear that the vitamin C is essential against the coronavirus. Okay, so this decreased quantity or deficiency of these vitamins can be make us susceptible against that pathogen. So that this nutritional status or nutrition is important factors against the microorganism. So proper diet or proper nutrition make us healthy and fight against this microorganism. So let's talk about the innate immune system, how it actually work against the microorganism. So these are the overall view of the innate immune system, how it work against the microorganism when they enter inside our body system. So firstly, you can, in this figure you can see that these physical and chemical barriers protected from infection or pathogen by outer side of skin. So basically we know that the innate immunity include the physical and chemical barriers. So these are the physical barriers and this is chemical barriers. So these barriers prevent the infection and provided by the epithelial cell. This is the epithelial cell layer. Okay, so this layer of skin, mucosal tissue, for example gastrointestinal, respiratory, urinogenital tract, and glandular tissue, example salivary, lacrimal, or mammary glands. All these glands or all this secretion provide or prevent the infection and provided by the epithelial cell of the skin. So basically skin protect from pathogen. So once the pathogen enter the body, such as through break in epithelial layer, they are comforted by an array of the cell with the cell surface and intracellular receptors. So they recognize the pathogen component and trigger the variety of cellular response. Okay, so these are the cells, that is phagocytes, natural killer cell. These cells identify the receptors on the pathogen and try to eliminate them from the body. So this recognition of pathogen component and trigger the variety of cellular response. So pathogen recognition by this receptor activate the some cell to phagocytosis. So these are the phagocytosis. Okay, so this phagocytosis and start to phagocyte and degradation. So the pathogen or many cell are activated through their receptor to produce a variety of antimicrobial substances. For example, peptide, interferons that kill the pathogen, as well as cytokines. These are the cytokines and chemokines protein that recruit the cell molecules and fluid to the site of infection, leading to swelling, and other symptom is inflammation. So inflammation is a type of response against the microorganism. So innate natural killer cell, these are the so, so in this So in this figure you can see that this natural killer cell recognize and kill some virus infected cells. So cytokines and chemokines can cause the systemic effect that help to eliminate an infection, for example fever. So that eliminate an infection and also contribute along with the dendritic cell activate that carry and present the pathogen to lymphocyte to activation of adaptive immune response. After the activation of adaptive immune response, start to formation of antibodies or T cell response. which can try to eliminate or kill this pathogen. So that this actual formation or actual overview of innate immune system, where the skin is act like barrier. Okay, so they may be epithelial cell, mucosal and glandular tissue, and their secretion like acidic pH, antimicrobial protein and peptides. They inhibit the pathogen to getting entry inside our body system. If pathogen can enter in our body system when the skin is rupture or having the break through it, so pathogen can enter. So after entry of pathogen, cellular response is start. So after recognition of pathogen, when this pathogen bind to the cells start to recognize this pathogen and give information to phagocytosis. So during phagocytosis, cells are triggered to phagocyte the pathogen. We know that what is meant by phagocytosis. Phagocytosis means engulfing of microorganism. So macrophage, dendritic cell or neutrophilic cell, they try to eliminate them or engulf them by the phagocytosis. If and if this pathogen infects some cell in our body system, then the natural killer cell can kill this infected cell with the pathogen. And in other word or in other way, the cell activate the antimicrobial substance such as a peptide and interferon. This antimicrobial substance start to eliminate the pathogen, or it activate the cytokines and chemokines. So cytokines and chemokines trigger the symptoms against the microorganism by the formation of inflammation. So these are the protective activation of the cell or innate immunity, or it start to systemic effect, for example fever. Also during the or these dendritic cell and cytokines and chemokines activate the adaptive immune response, and this adaptive immune response then start to form the antibodies or T cell response, that is formation of T killer cell or antibodies which fight against the microorganism. So all these are the overview of innate immune system. So I hope you understand this lecture about innate immune system. So in next lecture we see the actual formation or actual mechanism, what actual mechanism are happen in innate immune system. So that is for today. So in today's lecture we see the what is meant by innate immune system, its response, its factor influencing innate immune system, and the overview of innate immune system, how it works. So that is for today. Thank you.